Okay, in this video, we're simply going to put in some ceilings into our model. So now we'll start making use of our ceiling plan views. So as you can see in the 3D view from our stairs here, we don't have any ceilings upstairs. Let's go ahead and put a ceiling in just to show you the process. So let's go up to our ceiling plan view, and we're going to go up to O2 entry level. So we double click on that. Here's our space. Ceilings, there are two ways you can do it. We'll go up here to architecture, our architecture tab, and we're going to go over to ceiling. You can see over here we've got two options. One is called automatic ceiling, and one is called sketch ceiling. Automatic ceiling is simply if you have a space that is well defined by walls, and you could just instantly click in a ceiling there. I'll show you in a second how to do it. Sketch ceiling is if you need a ceiling that's not well defined by walls, but maybe the ceiling has an interesting shape or something like that, or it doesn't fully encompass an entire space, and you want to custom draw the perimeter of the ceiling, you would use the sketch ceiling option. Let's do the automatic ceiling first because that's going to be the easiest. So if I click on automatic ceiling, I'm going to go over here to our drop-down menu, and we've got a limited number of choices of ceiling materials. This, I have found, this is all I need for any Revit project I've ever done. We've got a 2-foot by 2-foot ACT system, a 2-foot by 4-foot ACT system, or a gypsum board on metal stud system. ACT stands for acoustic ceiling tile, and it's those suspended ceilings that you see in offices or in classrooms. You tend to see them in kind of business related functions. And those are suspended ceilings, and you have your choice of either having them being divided up into 2-foot by 2-foot tiles or squares, or 2-foot by 4-foot tiles or squares. And in general, you fit in some fluorescent light fixtures in those. Let's go ahead and put in a 2-foot by 2-foot system in this room, in this large square room on our second floor. Not because it's traditionally done in a residence, but just because I want to show you what that looks like and how you can fit some lights in, and then we'll put in a gypsum board ceiling in the remainder of our space. So let's actually click on 2-foot by 2-foot ACT system. You can see here it's putting it in O2 entry level, and the height offset from the level is 8 feet. That's the default height that Revit will put a ceiling in. If you want your ceiling to be 9 feet or 10 feet or 6 feet, you can just change this here. But in general, Revit just assumes that your ceiling is at 8 feet above the floor. And that's measured from the side of the ceiling that you actually see. The underside of the ceiling that's visible measured to the finished floor is 8 feet. So this will be fine. So I've got automatic ceiling selected. I'm just going to go right here to this space. Can you see how this room is lighting up in red? Or this room lights up in red? That's because this room is defined, solidly defined by walls that reach up to the level. Revit knows that this room is contained. So I'm just going to click right here. And it just puts in a 2-foot by 2-foot drop ceiling in here. If I click on modify, that gets me out of the ceiling placing process. You can see as it puts in the ceiling grid here, it's centered among the walls here. From the left side to the right side, it looks exactly symmetrical, and from top to bottom, it's symmetrical. If you needed to move these for whatever reason, you could grab one of these, use the move icon, move over, and type in 1.5 feet. You could adjust how that works. I'm going to hit Control Z and undo it. But you have the ability to custom place, move this grid as you need to. So we now have this customized ceiling in here. This customized ACT drop ceiling, 2-foot by 2-foot grid of ceiling tiles. And now we can go to, let's go put in a component here. Let's click on component and hit load family. And we're going to scroll down to lighting. And if we double click on lighting, we can go to architectural, internal, this is inside, and we're going to look for a fluorescent light that we can put in here. So we can kind of scroll down. looking for a light that will fit in one of these 2-foot by 2-foot modules. So we have a whole bunch of, there it is. Trofler light, 2-foot by 2-foot parabolic. This is a fluorescent light that will fit in here. So if I select that and hit open, there we go. I can now fit one of these right in here. And if I put it in offset, again, I can hit modify. I can go to modify, use a line to line that up and line this up. Once it's correctly in place, then you can just kind of make a copy. We haven't done that yet. Make a copy will move a copy. The process is exactly like moving something. You select the item you want to copy, select copy, click anywhere in the white, and just move it up a multiple of 2 feet. So you could say move it up 6 feet, and it'll put it in there. You could take this one, use the copy icon, click anywhere in the white, move down and say 6 feet, and moves a copy of it 6 feet. We can now take these 3, hold down Control, use copy, click anywhere, move in the direction you want to go, say another 6 feet. We could copy again, click anywhere, move over until at this time 12 feet. So a very fast way of putting in fluorescent lights. Once you get one positioned, you know that these are all 2 feet by 2 feet. So you can just kind of copy it over a multiple of 2 feet. So that's how you do maybe an office. That's how you do a drop ceiling in an office. Let's put in a ceiling in this space here. So I know what we'll do. We'll put in a ceiling that kind of stops over here and then has a bulkhead, a wall that it dies into, and the effect will look really interesting. So what I want to do first of all is I am going to go to the floor plan for my O2 entry level. I don't want to get too complex with this, but what I want to do is I want to trace over the edge of this floor slab right here. I'm envisioning putting in a ceiling that will stop in line with the edge of this floor slab. So I'm going to create a detail line, and I'm just going to trace over a detail line right here, just like this, from one end to the next. This detail line now, I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to hit copy to clipboard, and I can even hit delete on my keyboard. Delete. I don't need it in this view anymore. But watch this. If I go up to my O2 entry level ceiling plan, I can now go to, from the paste clipboard, I can say paste align to current view. It will put that detail line in this ceiling plan view in the exact same location that it was in that floor plan view. Now I know where my floor slab ends. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to put in a ceiling in this space right here. So let's go up here to Architecture, Ceiling, and this time I'm going to do Sketch Ceiling. I want to draw the perimeter of my ceiling myself. So if I click on Sketch Ceiling, I can draw it in. And I'm going to use this, my Pick Lines icon, my favorite icon in Revit, and I'm going to pick that face, that face, that face, that face, this line that we put in, and this face. And now I'm going to really clean it all up using my Trim Extend to Corner. So if I click on that, I'm going to clean that up, clean that up, clean that up. Remember, you just click on the portions of the lines that you want to retain. The other stuff goes away. So now I have this good, clean, crisp looking ceiling. And now I'm going to hit my green check mark. Oh, it's the wrong kind of ceiling. I forgot to change it. That's okay. While it's still highlighted, while it's still showing up in blue, I'll go down here and change it to gypsum board on metal stud. And then hit modify. The thing about these gypsum board ceilings is there's no hatch associated with it. It's just white. So it might be difficult to know whether or not a ceiling is in here, and especially if you're using an automatic ceiling, it's entirely possible to put multiple ceilings in the same room. So just kind of be aware of that. If you're using a gypsum board white ceiling, you're not going to really see it. So you might have to simply go to a different view. If we go to this section, if I hit go to view, Zoom out. Here's the ceiling. There's my gypsum board ceiling right there. You can see where it is. It's still located 8 feet above this floor right here, and that's okay. What I want to do now is go to my 3D view over here, and I'm going to go to stair view. There's my ceiling right there. Can you see the ceiling right there? I might actually raise that up, maybe raise it up a couple feet. Right now it's 8 feet above the floor. If I highlight it, I can change this to 10 feet and hit apply and see how that looks. So you've got a certain ability to really move things. Okay. Now let's go back to our ceiling plan, O2 entry level ceiling plan. And I'm going to get rid of I'm not gonna lose that detail line yet. But if I want to highlight my entire ceiling, all I have to do is go close to where I know an edge of that ceiling is, like maybe right here. And if I hit tab a few times, eventually the whole ceiling will light up, and then I can click it. So that's how you can actually grab the ceiling. Just go to where you know an edge is occurring, and hit tab as many times as it takes before the whole ceiling lights up, and then you can click it. I'm going to put in a little wall here. I think we said that the ceiling was 10 feet tall. Yep, 10 feet high. I'm going to put in a wall here, and I'm going to tell the computer that the wall needs to join up with the roof, and the underside of the wall needs to be 10 feet above the floor. So I'm going to create a little bulkhead here. So here's how you do that. I'm going to go to wall, and I'm going to change this to, I think generic 6 inches is fine. That's what we've been using. So generic 6 inches. This time I'm going to say finish face interior. I'm going to use the edge of the ceiling to help me figure out where the inside interior face of that wall is going to be. And this base constraint is going to start at O2 entry level, but it's going to start 10 feet above the entry level. And I'm going to have it go up to level 03. I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to give it a little bit of offset here. I'm going to give it 2 feet of offset. I'm going to have it go 2 feet up past level 03. So it's going to start at O2 entry level. The bottom of the wall will start at O2 entry level plus 10 feet, and then go all the way up to level 03, the roof, with an additional 2 foot offset. I'm going to hit apply. And now I'm going to use my pick lines icon to pick this detail line. Revit doesn't know if the blue dashed line, the thickness of the wall needs to go there or there. I want the thickness of the wall to go there. Now, if we go back to our 3D view, or actually, I could do this. I could take this section and pull it over, and then hit go to view. I can see what's going on. Here's the wall I just created. You can see the wall, the bottom of the wall starts at 10 feet above O2 entry level. There's O2 entry level, there's 10 feet above it, and the wall continues up for 2 feet. This is the reason why I had it offset, why I had the top of the wall go up 2 feet. Otherwise, the bottom of the wall and the top of the wall would be at the same plane here. I'd get some kind of error message. So I had the top of the wall extend 2 feet up past the roof. Now I'm going to do the little trick that we did earlier today. If you're watching all these videos in one day, like I'm making them, if I click on this wall right here, I can say attach top, and I can click on the roof there. And look at that, the wall will join up with the underside of the roof. So now that wall is right there. Let's go back to our view here. Let's go back to our 3D view of stair view 01 and see how that looks. Not seeing much, so I may have to kind of pull this up. I may need to make my view a little bit bigger so we can see what's really going on there. There we go. That's what we've created. So there's our ceiling, and this is our bulkhead, our kind of soffit wall right here. So the ceiling is actually dying into the back of this wall, and it's all nice and flush. So we can still see some of the underside of of this roof right here. We're getting kind of far away. As I stretch this out, things are getting kind of distorted looking, but that's okay. This is, so you can draw a ceiling that stops. You can use a bulkhead or a soffit to terminate a ceiling if the ceiling isn't going to be projecting over an entire room or an entire space. Let's put some lights in there and see how that looks. So we'll go up here to the ceiling plan for level 02 entry level. I can actually grab, there's my detail line. I can hit delete on my keyboard and make it go away. It's outlived its usefulness. Let's put in some light fixtures now, some can lights here. So here's what I'm thinking we're going to do. I'm going to draw a grid with detail lines, and when I'm happy with how the grid looks, then I'm just going to put in some can lines that will be located at the intersection of my grid lines. So I'm going to type in DL for detail line. And I'm just going to snap a detail line from the midpoint here, just like that, and hit escape. And then I'm going to hit modify, and I'm going to take this detail line and I'm going to copy it up 2 feet. Let's just see how that looks. 2 feet. And I can grab the knob at the end of this detail line. If I hit modify and then, there it is. Oh, okay, there it is. I'm going to copy this. Maybe 2 feet is a little small. Let's delete this. Let's take this and copy it 6 feet. So we'll just copy this 6 feet up. That's 6 feet is a good dimension in between light fixtures. So I'm going to grab this, grab the blue bulb and bring it in. And I'm going to copy this up another 6 feet. There we go. And then maybe one more 6 feet. So click on that, click on copy, click on the white, move straight up 6 feet, enter. And maybe I'll select this, I'll hold down control, select all those. Maybe I'll move them down 2 feet. See how that looks. Oh, I'm going to hit Control Z. I'll move them down 1 foot. I'm just trying to get this kind of centered in things. So I'm going to click, move down 1 foot, enter. There we go. That kind of looks nice. And now I'm going to hit DL and do a detail line right from the middle here and go straight down. What I'm doing is just creating the grid. And actually, I could use my offset command. If I go to modify, I could go to offset, type in here 6 feet, make sure copy is selected, and just offset a copy of that 6 feet to one side, 6 feet to the other side. Maybe I could take this now and copy this, click, move to the right or to the left 6 feet. There we go. I'm going to take this and pull this down, just like that. And maybe I'll use my offset command to make a copy of that 6 feet over to that might already, maybe I'll just copy that over 6 feet, enter. There we go. Oh, it's right there. It's right in line with the edge of the wall there. That's why I wasn't seeing it. So each of these intersections is where I want to put a light fixture, and we'll just see how that looks. That's how I like to do lights. Lights should look like there's a logic to it. It's much easier to draw a grid first and then put your lights in than to try and put the lights in and then kind of arrange them. So let's do this. Let's go to architecture. Let's go to component, load family, scroll down to lighting, architectural, internal, and I'm just recessed can. There we go. That's a can light. That's kind of that's a circular opening is carved in the ceiling, and the light just fits up in there. And we hit open, and here it is. We got a little 6-inch can light. I think we got our choice between 6-inch can light when we load these things in, or an 8-inch. Let's do 8-inch incandescent. 8-inch shows up. It's a little bit larger, and it's kind of hard to. There we go. You can you can kind of get these things. You want to align it with that grid line and with that grid line, and we just place them. I've found you can't really copy light fixtures. You'd think, like we did with the fluorescent lights, that you'd be able to copy these, but the can lights won't copy like we did with the fluorescent lights. So you have to place them one by one. But it's easy enough. You can kind of, if you're careful, you can kind of easily place them so that they're both dimensions are centered on the intersection of your grid lines. So there's that. There's that. There we go. Let's put one right here. Perfect. Okay, and then we hit modify. Now we can go back all these grid lines, we can select them and hit the delete button. Select, delete, select, delete, select, delete, select, delete, select, delete, select, delete, select, delete. There we go. We now have a grid of light fixtures. Let's go back down to our 3D view, stair view 1, and there you can see our light fixtures. Let's just see if we can put in a better camera. This view is looking kind of weird, and we got this big wall here. Maybe we need to put another, we might need to put another window in this wall. Let's go to 01 lower level. Yeah, so maybe, let's go up here to 3, let's go to our, whoops, oh shoot. Let's go back to the floor plan 01 lower level. Go to our drop down here for camera, and maybe this could be a good view. Let's just see what that looks like. Pull that over, pull this over, and we'll turn on fine resolution, turn on shaded. There we go. The difference between shaded and consistent colors, I'm not sure what that is. Realistic, every material in Revit, it's a little more realistic a view. Every material in Revit has a JPEG that's affiliated with it that gets stretched over it. And when you hit realistic, it shows you what the JPEGs are. There's nothing much to look at here. We will eventually add some people in. I'm going to rotate this around just a little more so I got kind of a better idea of what I'm looking at. That wall's kind of bugging me. Yeah, okay. So you can kind of see, there's our light fixtures. And at a later point in time, we can make a rendering of this. We can render this, and you can really get a sense of the lights of what you're seeing. So that's how you put ceilings in. That's how you do a bulkhead, and that's how you get light fixtures in there. So we'll just kind of wrap this up. Make sure to hit Control+S to save your work, and that's it for ceilings.